For me, they're not my favorite simply because Helia gives me the ick. I'm so sorry to everybody. This
Really,
might be
for real?
controversial. Yes, I hate
No.
romance. It sounds a little dark,
Wait,
but I'm just
wait,
like,
wait. This makes so much sense as to why you're a Bluetooth shipper, actually.
yeah.
Hey there, welcome to the Winx Forever podcast. I'm Lola, creator, host, and lifelong Winx fan. I'm taking a deep dive into the very cool universe of Winx Club. So whether you've been a Winx fan since 2004, like myself, or you vaguely remember it from your childhood, or even if you're being introduced to it for the first time, I want to say welcome. This is the Winx Forever podcast. Hello, fairy friends. Welcome back to the Winx Forever podcast. I am your host, Lola Valentine. Today, we're talking all about ships and Winx Club. Relationships, that is. We will be looking not only at the canon ships in the series, but also some popular non-canon ships out there, including everyone's favorite polarizing enemy to lovers trope, Blutor, of course, that is Bloom and Valtor. And to help me unpack the art of shipping in the world of Winx Club, I've invited my good friend, artist, and Belgium Winxer Fee, but you may know her better as Shiroyukichan on Instagram. Fee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, yes. I'm so happy to finally get to talk about all things Winx Club ships with you. But first, I want to give my audience a chance to get to know you a little. So I'd love to know, do you remember the first time that you ever saw Winx Club and what attracted you kind of to this niche fairy show?
Oh gosh, well, I don't exactly remember the first time I watched it because I was like, I think 4 or 5 years old, and I don't
Okay.
think I was fully conscious yet at that time, so I don't remember a lot.
Yeah.
But I do remember that it was on Nickelodeon at like 3 p.m. And Belgian schools, they are until 3:30 p.m. So I
Oh.
missed it every day. And then on Friday, school was over a little bit earlier. So I used to race, like book it home, Sonic Speed go home to
Yeah.
watch the episode. And yeah, it's just something that really stuck with me. And, of course, what attracted me is fairies, glitter,
Mhm.
pink, just
Of
badass
course.
girls. And, it's just the whole package.
Absolutely incredible. Was Winx Club really popular in Belgium when you were growing up?
Oh, yes, yes. It was the main game to play on the playground. It was a fight. It was to the death. Who was Bloom? Who was Stella? It was heavy.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, it was it was really a lot. So everybody wanted to play Wings Club, and the boys were the specialists, the girls were the fairies, of course. So yeah, everybody knew it. It was really popular in Belgium. It was such a good show. I mean, everybody could enjoy it really. So,
What do you think that it is for you that has kept you engaged in the fandom all of these years?
uh, I really don't know. I just got sucked into it, I guess. It's really weird because I went out of the fandom for many years because, I went through puberty, and
Same.
as most of us, I went a little bit emo, and suddenly everything that was pink was disgusting. I hated it. I didn't want anything pink.
Classic.
So classic. I went, into my dark phase, and I only listened to like hardcore rock music. So Winx was done. It was like it's for children, but secretly
Right.
deep inside, I still liked it, but nobody could know.
Right. No,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and then I grew up and I realized I really love pink and I really love fairies. And
Yes.
yeah, I started drawing, and the first thing I wanted to draw was Winx Club. And I was like, yeah, that's why I want to learn to draw, to be able to draw the things that I used to love when I was a child. And
Wow.
I started just rewatching Winx Club, and I was like, this is actually so good. Why is it so good?
Yes,
Um,
incredible.
yeah, and then I just started posting. It was actually my very first post on my Instagram account, and I just met all these amazing people, and suddenly I was in the fandom. It just kind of happened.
Oh, I love that. I love it so much. Like, you really weren't like, you were just looking for a way to connect with people about the show that you were like re-engaged with after all these years. And like,
Yes,
I
that's
think that's so
exactly it.
special. I
Yes.
love it. Well, that leads me right into my next question because I wanted to know, like how you first began drawing because you are a very talented artist. I've loved getting to see you, even in the past couple of years that we've been interacting with each other on Instagram, like how you've grown as an artist.
Oh,
And
thank you.
of course, yeah. And so it's just really cool to see. But yeah, so you began drawing Winx Club characters at first?
Well, technically, yes. I mean, I've been drawing since I was a child. And
Yeah,
even as a child, I was drawing Winx Club
I love
because
it.
I used to draw Stella a lot for my mom
Mm.
because my mom loves to shop. So, me, my little child brain, I was like, Stella is perfect for her. So, she had
Yeah,
like a whole pile of just Stella drawings.
that's so
Uh,
sweet.
yeah, so I then just, I grew up and I was still drawing, but I wasn't really taking it seriously. I mainly just copied whatever I saw and I liked. I didn't have my own style. And then I started taking it seriously around, uh, I think my second year of my bachelor, I think it
Okay,
was. And that's when I got into digital art. And yeah, that's how it all
incredible.
started.
So creating digital art, like what were some things that like helped you kind of get into creating art digitally and like maybe some advice for people that want to start creating art digitally for themselves?
Well, for me, it was always just easier because I hated the cleanup that traditional art had with it. Like
Mm,
you had your paper, your colored pencils, your paint, and I hated it how messy my desk used to get, and I hated
yeah.
that I couldn't do it like at school. You had to be at home really, and when I got my iPad, I initially got it for university, to take notes and stuff. But then I
Mhm.
was like, well, I might just get Procreate as well and just try it out. And I ended up really liking it. And I just
Yeah,
never stopped using it anymore. And
nice.
yeah, just being able to take my art with me, that really
Hmm.
helped me. Because in Belgium, a lot of us commute to university. So I had
Yeah.
like periods of 3 hours that I didn't have class.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also not enough time to go back home. So I would just draw. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's really cool. And so what I'm hearing from that is like just try it. Like if you want to go for it, if you want to do it, like just try it out, see how you like it.
I would definitely suggest getting just an iPad because it can be used
Mhm.
for anything. If you don't like drawing, well, fine, you can still use it like a computer. I mean, my friend got an iPad. She doesn't really use it as for drawing. She just does like a little bit of it, but she uses it for school, for like everything. It's such a good thing to have, and you don't have
Yeah.
to get the most expensive one. You can just get like a
Right.
secondhand one, and it's perfectly
Hmm.
fine. And it works so well for creating art, in my opinion. And it's so
Yeah.
much more of a better investment than getting one of those big tablets
Ooh,
from
yeah.
like Wacom or you know I don't know all the brands out there, but just, those tablets take up so much space and they're so expensive
Yes.
for just
Yeah.
being able to draw on them and nothing else.
Hmm. And it's just like one extra thing you have to like lug around with you if you want to be creative and
Yes,
draw.
exactly. You
Yeah.
also have to have your whole PC set up with you in your pocket, so just get an iPad. It's so much easier.
Yeah, I love that advice. That's awesome. I am curious, who are some of your favorite fan artists that maybe inspire you or have inspired you in the past, to create your own art?
This is such an easy question, and we all know her. Chocolate smoothie art is like up there.
Of
She is
course.
just so amazing, such an amazing artist. And I
Hmm.
remember seeing her webcomic years ago, like years, and it was on Pinterest, and I saw it and was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is so
Yes.
good. and I just fell in love with her art style. It's so colorful, and yeah, I just love it.
Yeah.
She's definitely a big inspiration. And I recently got to know her a bit more through Instagram, and she's also so nice. So
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
definitely. And then another big inspiration for me is Alice Udick. I
Oh,
don't know if you've heard of
yes.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Her Pluto art is just out of this world. It's insane. Her cosplay is just perfection as well. So she's just such a huge inspiration for artists like me. I mean, she can do anything. It's insane.
Absolutely.
Then I also really like Choco Fishy and Iridescent Tides. They also have such amazing artworks.
Yes. Oh my
Love
gosh.
them.
The anime-ish style, which like you also kind of
Yes.
implement in your art too, that I just
Yes.
love that so much because it doesn't feel forced. It looks very natural, you know?
The last person I thought about, and that is Toshia-san. Probably everybody that knows anything about art knows who Toshia-san is. She isn't necessarily a Winx artist, though. She doesn't really draw them a lot, but I wanted to mention her because she is the reason I actually started drawing and taking it seriously because I saw her Winx art and I was like,
Oh,
I want to do that. I want to be able to do that.
absolutely. Oh,
So,
that's
yeah, I just
incredible.
love her.
That kind of speaking of, artists that inspire you and also fan comics, say you are working on your own fan comic currently.
Yes, I am. It's a lot, but I am.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about what it's about and what inspired you to create it.
So it's a pretty long story actually, but I
Yeah.
guess a lot of people will already know it'll probably be about Valtor and Bloom because we truly do not have enough art about those two. Some of the best fan fictions I've read are about Volter and Bloom, but there are like two or three out there that are actually really good, and it's just it's a tragedy, truly. So I was
Mhm.
like, I want to add to this. I have to add to this. So I actually started a year ago, I think, with
Mm.
making a tiny little comic. You probably remember it. It was like a
Yeah.
one-page little thing. The art was actually horrible because I didn't know what I was doing, but it's still up there if anybody's curious. And a lot of people, you know, have selective blindness and don't read the like the bio or like the caption, and they were
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, what webcomic is this?" And I'm like, "It doesn't exist."
It's not. This is it.
This is it, my dudes. There's nothing else. And people kept asking me, and I'm like, listen, it doesn't
Mhm.
exist, okay? I'm so sorry, but I don't have time for this. I can't make a comic. I really can't. I'm too nervous for it. I'm not experienced enough in drawing. It was just a little fun thing that I did just one time, and I never thought I would ever go back to it. But then I made a part two, and people like that one even more. So I was like, okay.
At that
Um,
point, you're like fueling the fire.
yeah, I did it to myself. I like the attention, sue me. It's like, yeah, people like it. So I was like, well, I'm still not gonna do it, It was fun while it
Mhm.
lasted. But then I met like one of my best friends ever in Japan while I was studying abroad. And she is an artist herself. And she has her own comic. It's called Protect Mary Kill for the people who are
Okay.
curious. It's not published yet though, but
Okay.
we're trying to convince her to put it on like Webtoon or something.
Incredible.
Because it's really good. And she's just amazing. She's so talented. And when we met, she was like, you're really good at this. I think you should go further with this. And I was like, girl, I don't know. I'm not good at expressions. The poses freak me out. This will just take a long time.
Yeah.
And she just convinced me. She was like, I will help you and we'll do this. She was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, yeah, I kind of would like to do Volter and Bloom again because that's just something I'm very passionate about. I'm just passionate
Mhm.
about Winx in general. And Winx makes me genuinely happy to draw. It's like
Yeah.
the one thing that I truly enjoy drawing.
Mm.
And we just got to talking. And before we knew it, we had the first episode written out almost. We had the whole outline of what we wanted to do. So
Yes.
I still write it myself, but she is like, she helps me get through it. Like I bounce ideas off of her and she adds to
Yeah.
it and she gives her own suggestions.
Mm,
And it just, it was just so amazing. And she also helps me with like difficult scenes and perspectives because I'm not really good at those yet. And she
mhm.
just helps me so much, which gave me the confidence to actually do it.
Totally.
And then, of course, there is the second person that basically forced me to do it, and that is, of course, Captain Lisa, our favorite Blutor
Yes.
girl. I love her so much. We
Yes.
bonded so much over Valtor and Bloom, and she is the reason I actually posted my very first artwork of them because I thought nobody likes this couple. I'm just a weird fucking kid.
Oh.
Nobody likes this. And she was like, "Girl, this is amazing. I'm such a big Bluter fan, and there are so many people out there that love it." I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like a whole fandom." I'm like, "You're kidding, right?" She wasn't, because I
Yeah.
posted the artwork and it got to 20,000 likes, and I was like, "Hello, this is a lot of attention very quickly." Um, so when I told her the idea of a webcomic, she was, of course, like, "I need that printed out so I can just use it as wallpaper in my room." I'm like,
Yes.
"Okay, now I have to do it."
Of course. Yeah. Oh
So
my
yeah,
goodness.
she's truly an angel. It's insane. She
Mhm.
always helps me. She knows everything there is to know about Falter and Bloom, so we just bounce ideas off of each other again. And yeah, she's also such an inspiration. She helps me. You know, since she's so, such a huge help as well, I give her the chance to also have her perfect scenes, that I can draw them
Yes.
for her in my webcomic. But she's like,
Absolutely.
"I want to see this," and I'm like, "Girl, I got you. I'll put it
Yeah.
in."
Oh, I
So
love
yeah.
that. That's really special when you have those people that because creating you never want to create in a silo. Like there's so much collaborative, opportunities to be had
Yes.
when you're creating. And so I love that you've, found those people that you're able to help, keep you inspired, but also like you can bounce ideas off of and, whatnot. Like that is so important to the creative process. What would you say to someone who is looking to get into writing their own fan comic or their own fan fiction, like what because comics are hard, right? Because you're not only writing the story, but you're also creating the art for it. So that is tough. So what's some advice maybe that you've learned through this process of creating your own that you would share with others?
Well, going back to what I just said, get some good fucking friends. Get some real
Yes,
friends that
yes.
help you, that are just excited for you to do this. That,
Mhm.
even if they're not into like the ship you want to portray or like the story
Mhm.
you want to write, even if it's not necessarily their cup of tea, who will still stick with you and
Mhm.
encourage you and help you out. It's so nice to have that backup, have
Mhm.
those friends with you. They really get you through it. But
Yeah.
even so, I would just say to do it. Just go for it. I had no experience at all either. Like I said, I was so scared at first because while I do have some experience in drawing, of course, it was always pretty fairies, in the
Mhm.
same sort of vibe and pose with the same expressions. And it's really a learning curve to be able to convey
Mhm.
emotion through your art. It's really
Yeah.
difficult. So I was really afraid at first, but if you don't do it, you'll never know if you're able to do it. So
Yeah.
just go for it and get you some friends who help you with it. If you have some artist friends, maybe you have a friend who's better at expressions and you have another friend who's good at perspective. Just, get together and help each other out. It's really so much fun and it truly helps you grow as an artist as well.
Yes.
Um, I would also say, this might be controversial, but um, you do need to have at least some basic knowledge of art, in my
Mm,
opinion. Some
mm-hmm.
people say just draw it, you'll learn as you go, which is true. But if you've never picked up a pencil and you're just like, I'm gonna draw a comic, it'll not work out for you. You'll get very
Yeah.
frustrated very quickly.
Or it'll just take a
Um,
very long time.
yes,
Very long.
exactly that. um, if you do not have like a general knowledge of human anatomy, your
Hmm.
art will not look right. It will not look right, and you'll give up. You'll probably give up very quickly.
Yeah, because you're
um,
compare it's a comparison game, right? When you are
exactly.
like looking at other people's art that maybe they have studied, like intensely, like the different ways that joints move in this position, like people spend years even like on that. Like Dawn
Yes.
is a accomplished, like interior designer. And so her that's makes sense because her backgrounds are
Girl,
phenomenal, you know?
I tell her
And so
each and every time. I'm
yes.
like, girl, these backgrounds.
Yeah, but for someone starting out, if they don't have that level, of research behind them or that experience, like it's hard because it's easy to fall into that comparison game when you don't see the years of work that go into these accomplished artists. You only see the
Yes.
finished product. And so I encourage people, if you are starting out, like don't compare yourself to the best version of your favorite artist. Like, maybe look at their earlier stuff. Maybe look at, where they started because we all start somewhere. We all got to start somewhere. But yeah, I completely agree with you.
That's actually something I also wanted to say. That
Yeah.
was one of the points I had in my head actually. Don't compare yourself because nobody else can
Mhm.
write a story like you. It
Yeah.
might not be the same as some of those great artists, but it will
Mhm.
be special because you made it and nobody else
Yes.
can draw or write like you. So it
Yes.
will be good because you made it. And that's what makes
Mm.
it unique and what makes
Mhm.
it, worth people's time. Because if you just copy
Right.
someone else, there's no reason for people to read it because they can just
Totally.
go read the other person's stuff. It's now say as I do as I say, not as I do, because I also have trouble with this.
Oh
I
yeah,
still
I think
compare
that
myself.
totally. I think that everyone, does and it is a shared, like struggle. And I think that that's why it's so important to hear, especially from, people like you, people like Dawn, like people that are, that we see make these really beautiful pieces of art, but to know that they also share some of the same struggles that, like we all do, like that's really nice and it connects us all. Faye, this has been so fun getting to know you and your art history, but also your Winx history. We are going to take a short break before we get into our main topic. But before we take our break, I always like to do a round of rapid fire questions with our guests. So, Faye, are you ready?
I am so ready.
All right, here we go. Who is your favorite Winx Club member?
Bloom, 100% Bloom, every time.
What's your favorite season?
Season 3, except the ending. I hate the ending. Season 1's
Oh,
ending is the best. Yes.
all right, all right. Favorite specialist or male warrior?
Brandon. Brandon girl
Mm,
forever.
absolutely. Favorite movie?
Secret of the Lost Kingdom,
Of course, the only
of
one.
course.
Favorite transformation?
Is that really a question? Enchantix, of course.
Of course. Oh my goodness, yes. Favorite romantic relationship and canon relationship.
Okay.
We'll get into the others.
Oh, hands down, my babies, Stella and Brandon.
Of course.
Nothing comes close.
We love them. Favorite villain in the series, which I could probably guess.
I mean, is, do you really need to ask? Valtor?
Of course, Valtor. Yes, yes. And I want to know who is your favorite Winx to draw?
Bloom. Forever a Bloom girl till I die.
And then favorite or least favorite character to draw?
Okay, don't hate me, but Tekna, 100% Tekna. I love her to death, but I just can't draw short hair. I can't make it look good.
Um,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. Hey, knowing that about yourself, I think that makes you a strong artist. So,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. And that's all I have for rapid fire. That you did great.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Awesome. So we are going to take a short break, but when we come back, we are going to talk about all things shipping in the Winx Club universe with Faye. So don't go anywhere. Hey, fairy friends, Lola Valentine here. In case you missed it, the Winx Forever podcast launched our very own Discord community. Discord has been a great place to connect with so many wonderful Winxers from around the world to talk about our favorite fairies. I wanted to try and recreate the magic of the original Winx Club online English forums from the old winxclub.com website. So we've got forums where you can post your own topics and respond to others' posts in every Winx topic imaginable. Click the invite link in the description below to join the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. And remember, the magic's in you. Welcome back, friends. We are talking about the art of shipping in the world of Winx Club with my friend, artist, and Belgium Winxer Fee, otherwise known as Shiroyukichan on Instagram. I want to kind of start our main topic discussion of shipping by kind of explaining some popular language associated with the art of shipping, because maybe you're just tuning in, maybe you are not familiar with in fandoms, what even a ship means or is. So I want to kind of Faye and I break this down. Faye, do you want to give us kind of like what does it mean to ship?
You are just like a fan of a certain relationship
Mm-hmm.
between two certain characters. And it can be canon, I think, as well. Like it can be a
Mm-hmm.
canon ship. You can ship something that's already canon, and you can ship something that you just made up. You're like, oh, I like those two characters together. I want them together. So you just make it up in your head. I think that's
Yeah.
like the best way to explain it.
So a shipper is someone who is known for or actively ships a certain couple. Oh, this one I actually remember from my K-pop days, OTPs,
Right.
right? One true
Right.
pairing. And
Yes.
yeah, so a OTP it's an acronym. It stands for one true pairing. It's the like number one ship that you ship over all ships. Like how
Yes.
many
Yes.
times can I say the word ship in one sentence? But yeah, it's a particular ship that a fan likes or prefers over all the others, the one true pairing. And so would you say that Bloom and Valtor is your OTP?
Oh, that's a difficult question because I have other ships I really like as well that I like before
Oh,
even Valtor and Bloom. So it's like
yeah.
it's like my first ships that inspired Valtor and Bloom. So it's difficult to say if I have like an OTP because they're all on the same level for me.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I guess since I'm making a comic, I guess I have to say yes. I mean, it's pretty
That's
drastic.
that's so true though. You are listening to the Winx Forever podcast. Okay, and then we've also got canon ships, which are obviously any relationship that appears in the Winx Club series. I was going to say also comics, but it is known that the comics are not canon. And canon,
Hmm.
so I guess for those of you that don't understand what canon is like the like what is like true. What is
Yes.
the true storyline or the true world of Winx Club? There is a whole Winx Club series of comics that are technically not considered canon to the Winx Club story, although the comics are so incredible and everyone should read them because they have some great storylines and characters in them that are not found in the series. But that also might be why they're considered non-canon. But I digress. So canon ships, yes, any relationship that appears in the Winx Club series, and there's also, or like that's also called a sailed ship because of the pun of
Yeah, I
of
love that
ships.
terminology.
Yes. Whereas there's also what people refer to as a sunk ship. It's a ship that has been proven unable to exist in canon, or in other words, will
Yes.
never be real or, not confirmed. So that is a little more difficult to explain because there are non-canon relationships that could work, like we'll get into some of them, but like non-canon would be like Myrta and Lucy. They're not exclusively, like, it's hinted at, right, that they are a couple in the series, but it's never officially confirmed. Like they never introduce themselves, as like, oh, this is my girlfriend Myrta, this is my girlfriend Lucy. Like that's never addressed specifically. But
Hmm.
whereas like there are other ships that like canonically should not probably be considered, like a
Yes.
sailed ship, yes. And then of course there is the very frowned upon ship shaming, which is of course shaming another fan for shipping a certain characters together. For me, I think that there's never, I won't say, okay, for me personally, I don't think that there is room for ship shaming unless, like, we mentioned, like, it's just like legally probably would be not great for a
Yes.
ship to be together.
Like, let
And
me put
so yeah.
it this way. I don't personally ship Flora and Palladium. Like you said, it's
Hmm.
a teacher-student relationship. It's
Hmm.
always a little bit iffy.
Hmm.
But I will not go out of my way to shame someone who ships it. I will
No,
not leave
yeah.
nasty comments on their
Mhm.
posts. I will do nothing. I'm like, what do I care? If you want to ship that, good for
Right.
you. It's fiction.
Right. It's
I don't
not
care.
harming you. Yeah, it's not harming you in any way. Like,
Oh, it's like the forbidden romance trope. I get it.
mhm.
I really do because
Yes.
it's like the same kind of vibe as enemies to lovers. But it's
Mhm.
just when I grew up and I looked at it from an adult perspective, I also
Yeah.
am like, teacher student is weird. As a 15-year-old,
Mhm.
I loved it. I was
Oh,
with that.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I'm like, this is really weird because I, as a 24-year-old who could be a teacher, have no interest in a 16-year-old at school,
Right.
like at all.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, get that child away
Oh,
from me, please.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
So,
then you get
yeah.
into the whole like grooming conversation and things like that. And it's
Yes,
just like it
yes,
spirals really quickly. And so,
it does.
yeah. And so we won't get into all that, but like there are, like people out there that take like ship shaming like way too far. And like you said, like bullying like occurs and stuff. And like there's just no, especially in the Winx fandom, like there's no room for that, in my opinion.
No, really
Um,
not. If you really
yeah.
are a Winx fan, you should know that being kind is like
Hmm.
the number one thing. I mean, I do
Yeah.
not associate myself with non-kind Winx fans. I do
Hmm.
not.
Yeah.
And they exist. And they
It,
claim to be like the number one fan. And I'm like, nah, you're done.
yeah.
You're done. Go away.
Yes. If you're just not like a kind, caring person, I'm like, did you learn nothing from Winx Club? Like, what are
For
we doing?
real. Exactly. This.
That leads us perfectly into looking at some of the canon relationships in the Winx Club series,
Yes.
and maybe, like talking about maybe some of the more problematic sides. Like we
Exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that we can start with, Stella and Brandon, since you and I both love like Stella and Brandon's relationship. Like it's so sweet and it feels so genuine and like true to who they are as characters. And it comes out in, their interactions together and all of that. But yeah, what are some things that you love about Stella and Brandon's relationship that makes it your, favorite canon relationship?
They're just so open with each other. They
Mhm.
know what they're about. They know that about each other, and they
Mhm.
just accept each other for it. Like, I know some people don't like them because they're both kind of flirty. But to me, that makes it even better because they're
Yes.
both flirty and they make it like kind of a game. Like they know they're hot, they know they're good looking, and they're
Yes.
just like, I'll play into this. But at the end, they always stay faithful to each other, and they know that they have 100% trust between them, and
Hmm.
that is just what makes them so amazing to me.
I agree, and I think that that is really sweet. And aside from the like poor writing decisions made post season 3 for some of these relationships that we'll talk about,
Yes.
and like the fabricated drama that gets sprinkled into, like, and especially like Brandon and Stella's relationship in like season 4 with the whole Mitzi drama, like we can all pretty like we can see like when like things are when conflict is fabricated just for the sake of
For the sake
conflict.
of it, yeah.
And like that's kind of where like, and especially as like, Winxers, like we can see, like when
We
the
know.
writing, maybe, yeah, we know, and so, and even that aside, like, how they like reconcile, and that too, like it still is true to like who Brandon and Stella are, and I love that. It is very funny because a lot of these ships, of course, in the Winx Club canon. What even is Winx Club canon? Do we even know? I want to see their show Bible. I doubt that they have one, because the people who have created Winx Club has like been like passed around to so many different studios and so many hands have touched it. Like, it's really hard to like determine like, oh, what is canon, what is not, because like, oh, they graduated in Secret of Lost Kingdom but then go back to school. I don't. Okay, like, yeah,
Yes.
some of these characters, like the status of their relationship is like kind of like open for interpretation, because like there was that moment on the beach where like, did Brandon propose to Stella? I don't know, but like we definitely got a proposal from Sky and Bloom in Secret of Lost Kingdom, but then he's also proposed kind of not really in Magical Adventure. And so we have a lot of these like inconsistencies in like the
Hmm.
status of their relationships, I think, and even in the canon ships in Winx Club, which I think gives us a lot of room, I think, as shippers, right, to play with and to kind of like have our own ideas, which I think is fun. Like we can take something negative and turn it into a positive.
I mean, the way I just see it is
Mhm.
everything up until the movie is canon, and everything
Mhm.
after is like a little spin-off, you know? It's there. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily all bad, but it's something.
Yeah. You take what you want and you leave the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Totally.
like season 4 is not horrible. I enjoyed
Mhm.
watching it, but
I love
I'm just
season
like,
4.
was the love triangle really necessary?
Absolutely
Was
not.
it? No. So that's why I don't consider it canon, because as you said,
Oh.
the whole Mitzi thing, it just felt so out of character for Stella
Mhm.
to be that jealous, because Stella
Yeah.
is like really confident in herself, you know.
Mhm.
She knows she's pretty, she knows Brandon loves her. I mean,
Mhm.
after season 3, it was pretty clear Brandon loves her, not only
Yes,
for her looks.
absolutely.
So, I mean, they just threw all of that in the garbage and were like, okay, let's make Stella jealous right now for
Mhm.
the drama. And that's why it's not
Yes.
canon to me personally.
If you're enjoying this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow the show on your preferred streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released. I want to talk about like maybe some of the non-problematic ones first, and then we'll get into the problematic ones.
The best part.
The best part, the drama. If you've not seen Unicorn of Ward's video about his ranking of the ships, the canon ships in Winx Club, it's a great video. He dives into kind of like the reasons why things work, things don't, and this is not that. We're not ranking them in any specific order, but I'll link that video in the description below as well. But pretty high on the list. I think Timmy and Techna was Thomas's second highest
Mm.
for favorite ship. And honestly, like I didn't think about it until I watched his video about it. It's So true. Like Tekna and Timmy are very underrated.
I love them. They're one of my
Yeah.
favorites as well. I think they're right underneath Brandon and Stella for me.
Absolutely. Their relationship is so cute because they're both nerds. Like we all know, they're all, they love their little gadgets. They are, but it's very wholesome, like seeing them interact, and like even like just working out the fact that they liked each other, and like what do I do with this? This is,
Yes.
Tekna's whole arc in season 2 of like, is love illogical, like that, like it's just such a cool. And then, oh my god, like not to mention how hard Timmy fights for her in season 3, like come
Yes.
on.
Yeah, I have only a little problem like
Oh.
with the way Tekna treated Timmy in season 2. I think she was
Mhm.
unnecessarily hard on him and I felt bad for my man the entire time because Tekna is always the one who's preaching about taking the logical decision. What Timmy did in
Mhm.
season 2 was making a logical decision. He didn't want to
Mhm.
die, and that's fair. He didn't need to die. It would have had no
Yeah.
meaning. And she calls him a coward, and I'm like, Carly, aren't you always
That
the
is a
one
little
saying,
harsh.
yeah, you're the one saying to be logical, and
Mhm.
now Timmy is doing exactly that, and you're being so harsh on him. Like,
Yeah.
it's so sad, and the man was like so confused and sad, and I felt so bad for him the entire season.
I know. It was so pitiful. And I think too, like Timmy was not like treating Tekna like a girl. She was treating he was, like she felt like he wasn't like really like affectionate, or like treated her like his girlfriend and stuff. And then
Right.
did they work
Yeah.
that out? Yeah, they worked that out in like the like Wildlands episodes, but like
Uh,
even that too is like such an
yeah.
interesting way to look at their relationship.
It's just so difficult because Tekna never really gave him any indication that she wanted to be treated more like a girl.
Right.
Because he
Yes.
like gave her that present. Remember where he gave her a present? And
Yes.
she was like, it's something for my computer, not for me. And I'm like, girl, your whole personality is computers. What did you
Yes.
want?
It's like, what is happening?
That's so thoughtful. Like, if he gave you
Uh,
flowers, you would have been like, huh? Like, what am I do? I don't get it. She's just being so
yeah,
unnecessarily mean to him.
I
And
know.
if you don't communicate, he
I
can't
was
know
about to
these
say,
things.
yes, I was about to say, I think that their whole thing in season 2 was communication. And they,
100%.
they work it out in the end, which is really nice. But like, even having that conflict, two people who seemingly like are very connected, like intellectually, have a communication breakdown even though they are so smart. You know what I mean? Like that, I
Yes,
think
yes.
that is like the takeaway and like the really interesting part of like their romantic relationship.
Yes, definitely. It shows the
Yeah.
difference between emotional intelligence and just books or like, there
Hmm.
is still a difference and they might be so smart when it comes to computers and technology.
Yes.
But when it comes to their emotions, they're both kind of not, not really 100% there yet. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
adorable,
it
but they
is.
really need to talk. Just
Yeah,
tell people what you want.
yes, yeah. Just like, yeah, just say it. Yeah. No, use your words. Oh. I think from there, one of my all-time favorite ships, canon ships, is Flora and Helia. I
Oh,
adore them so much. I wish, and this is just bad writing, on on Winx Club's part, but like I wish there was more of them, not just season
yes.
2. It just wasn't, like a way to introduce a boyfriend for Flora. Like Flora, notoriously, Flora is like the Winx that we know the least about.
That's so true.
you
She's just
know?
there.
Yeah, which is so funny because it is also like pretty well known in the fandom that like Flora is one of, if not the favorite of Eugenio Straffi. And so it's like, if she's your favorite, my guy, like, why did you make her like with no backstory? Like, we don't know anything about this girl. But same thing with Helia. Like, there's not a lot of character development for Helia either, which is really sad. He's almost like non-existent in season 3, and then season 4, they don't really like, we don't get a lot of like moments with them. And so I wish that there was more about them because they're such an artsy couple. They are very, I mean, they're beautiful. Like they're both gorgeous. I love their character designs and them together is so
Yes,
pretty.
they are so pretty. It's just,
Yeah.
for me, they're not my favorite simply because Helia gives me the ick. I'm so sorry to
Ah!
everybody. This
Really,
might be
for real?
controversial. Yes, I hate romance. This sounds a little dark,
Wait,
but I'm just
wait,
like,
wait. This makes so much sense as to why you're a Blue Torch shipper, actually.
yeah, it might. Listen, the way he's just always being so poetic, I'm like, dude, shut up. Just say what you need to say
I
and get
am
off with it.
crying. No.
Listen, I
I
love them. It's just for me personally, it's like I love
He's a
Flora and
lot
Helia.
too.
They're perfect for each other.
Yeah.
But Helia would drive me crazy. I would be like, my dude.
Not everything's that deep.
Exactly.
You're
Don't be so obnoxious about it every time.
Oh my god, you're hilarious. That is so funny. Oh my god. I remember when Healy was introduced in Winx Club, I was I have been a Healy and Flora shipper like since day one. Like I've loved them so much. Like when I would like write like little fan fictions, like I would never publish them, but I would just like write them like about them, like
Oh,
little, like 10, 12-year-old me just like loved that.
that's
And
so
so
cute.
I did, yeah, and so but I can see what you mean about Healy. Yeah, he is in the Forked dub. I don't know if this is true in the Rai or in the original, but like they described Helia as a pacifist. And
Mm-hmm.
he was also, I think that in the original he was like Saladin's grandson, but like I think he was his
Yes.
nephew in the Four Kids
Nephew,
dub.
nephew,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so the fact that he even becomes a specialist is very funny. Like I wonder if like he just like did it for love. Like
Yeah.
did he become a specialist so that he could hang out with Flora more? I don't know, maybe. Um
Maybe. That's
maybe.
interesting.
Yeah. Very funny. But yeah, shout out Flora and Helia. Okay, should we talk about Aisha and Nabu first? Or should we talk about Aisha and Nex and Aisha and Roy? I
Well,
think we have to
listen,
talk about Nabu first to talk about the other two.
the problem is with the other two, I
Uh-huh.
will not be able to join the conversation because I don't know the man. I never
Right.
watched that far.
Oh, no, that's totally fair because I mean, I don't think that I have ever finished seasons 5 through 7.
Thank you, me
Um,
neither. I watch
yeah.
clips and then I
Yeah.
cringe and I scroll.
And then I
It,
rely on Unicorn of War to watch them and then make a
exactly.
recap
That's
video.
what I do. I'll let go of bestie. Suffer for me. Thank you.
It's the only way I can stomach anything dealing with
So
those
true.
seasons.
So true. Season 6, God, Unicorn of War, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so
yes.
much.
Yes.
Your sacrifices are appreciated.
Yes, yes. I agree. And it's so funny, but like okay, well then I'll run through Nex and Roy real quick. So like so Roy it glorified cardboard. Like he just doesn't have a personality like at all. Like he's just introduced as like a thing. He's basically an object. I'm not even gonna lie. Like he's basically just like
Roasted.
there. Yes, he's just there. And it's just sad because like I think that they wanted it to be like a way for like Aisha to like move on from Naboo,
Mm-hmm.
but like it just fell so flat and he was only there for like a second, and then they're like, oh, the Nex, who is like literally this like Riven duplicate because Riven was like off doing whatever the heck until he comes back in season 8. But then like we have Nex, who is basically Riven. He just got blue hair. And it's just I don't get it. Like I don't get introducing these other love interests for Aisha so incredibly soon. Like let the girl be single. Let her be single for a bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a bad thing. It actually probably would have taught the audience a lot about, independence and you don't need like your relationship does not define you sort of thing. So I just wish that they had kept Aisha single and not thrown these like, oh, wannabes at her. Like they're just not it.
It feels so cheap instead of actually
Yes.
helping her grieve, making her
Mhm.
grieve Naboo's
Mhm.
death. They just throw other men at her as if
Mhm.
that will fix it.
Yep. Yep.
It feels so icky. I
Yeah.
don't like it at all, and that's also a big reason why I never watched the seasons. It's just it doesn't make sense. It's icky, and they made her move on from Naboo way too soon.
Way
In my
too soon.
opinion, like she
Mhm.
really needed to have like a whole character arc, in my opinion, to get
Mhm.
over that.
Mhm. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Like the end of season 4 when she wanted to like burn everything, like girl, like fair. Like
Fair.
you have every right to like
Yep.
your man just got killed. Like what? Or
For
he's
real.
is he killed? Is he in a deep sleep? We don't know. Again,
We don't know.
that's the kind of like yeah, shadiness with like some of these that we just like it could be possibly. I don't know.
Well, for my own mental health, he's alive. He's
Yeah,
still there.
that's fair. Yes, yes, yes. Just like just very sleepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aisha and Naboo, their whole relationship, a lot of people are like, well, he lied about his identity when they first met. It's like, yeah, you would too. He was trying to like catch a vibe on like who this chick even was. He had no idea who she was, you know? And so
Yes, yes, definitely.
for those of you not maybe familiar with this ship, so Aisha and Naboo, it's Aisha's first love interest in the Winx Club series, and he's introduced in season 3 as Ophir. And it's this character Ophir. He's kind of like a little bit stalking. Like they
Just
catch him
a
stalking
smidge.
her, just a smidge, you know, like that's just light stalking, um, casual as one does. Oh, side note, please don't stalk people. But Naboo ends up he ends up revealing that, you know, oh, like I'm actually my name is Naboo and I am your betrothed, like, you know, fiance, like because it was revealed that Aisha was going to be betrothed as, you know, tradition on Andros to betroth their royals. And so Aisha was not about it, clearly Nabi was not about it, but then in not understanding, you know, what was happening, they both like fell in love with each other. Not really, well, it's weird, Naboo knew who Aisha was, but Aisha didn't know who Naboo was. So maybe there's a little dishonesty in that part. Like he probably should have told her sooner, but like would she have been as open to getting to know him, you know? Like if she had known that that was the guy that her parents had betrothed her to.
Hmm.
Hmm. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's a little unfair to just write him off as a stalker and saying, I don't like this ship because of that, because he had really good reasons. Is it a little
Yes.
creepy? Definitely, definitely. But
Yeah.
we move on. I just personally don't really get it when people say Naboo is our favorite, because simply because
Mhm.
of the fact that we had so little of him. He really wasn't
Ooh.
in Winx for a long time, and
Yeah.
I like him. I really do. He's such a sweet guy.
Mhm.
But I'm just like, how can he be your all-time favorite when you've seen him for like the end of season 3 and then season 4?
Right.
Which, I mean, he was there, but not like, wow, this is all about Naboo, you know? So it's just
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
don't
It
know.
was kind of like Helia in that sense. Like he, you know, like had a season
Yes.
where he was introduced and it was a big deal, but then it just wasn't a big deal anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. He was
yeah.
just there.
Yeah, but I think that for me, like the character of Naboo was intriguing, and their relationship and like their dynamics was really nice. I really enjoyed like their dynamic in season 3, but then when season 4 rolls around, it's interesting because it feels like they only brought up like their relationship again just so that it will make it harder to see what happens to him at the end of season 4. Like I feel like that's the only reason they introduced, like that's the only reason he proposed, that's the only reason that like they like, you know, had that like sweet moment was so that they could just rip it all away from us. And it's
Truly.
really sad. But Yeah, I understand why people love Naboo, but I do wish that we had like Helia, that we had gotten to know him better, had more time with him as we did the other specialists, but I digress. All right. Are we ready to talk about some truly toxic relationships?
Okay, which one to start with?
Oh god. Let's start with Musa and Riven because
Right.
I will level with you, Faye. I was the biggest Musa and Riven shipper when I was little. I lived for the drama of it all. It was my favorite. The will they, won't they? Like it was my favorite. Like it,
I
little
get
little
that.
Lola, just I loved it. Oh my god.
I get that. I have a bit of a controversial opinion about Musa and Riven.
All right.
Um,
All right.
in my opinion, and hear me out, Musa was mainly the problem. Yes.
Mm.
And
Go
I
on.
rewatched Wings with one of my best friends not too long ago, and this is coming from a Musa stan. Like Musa was her number one, and she rewatched with me, and she was
Mhm.
like, "I need to
Oh.
rethink my ranking. Girlie is on something," and I'm like, "Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm telling
Yeah.
you." And don't get me wrong, I love Musa. I love her character, but I just think that she gave Riven a hard time when he didn't need to have a hard time. And the
Yeah.
best examples I can give is
Mhm.
my guy was he knew what he was about, he never was a romantic kind of being, just like Timmy really. He
Mhm.
just, he likes Musa, he loves her, but he maybe has more of a tough time showing it in like romantic
Yeah.
gestures. And I think Musa just expected way more of him, but I think that's
Mm.
unfair because he's just not like that. And
Mm.
one example is when they were like going on the vacation in the wildlands, right? Musa
Mhm.
is wearing this god awful hat, and she asks him, "What do you think about my hat?" And my dude is just like, "It looks warm." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good,
That's
yeah, that's what it
observation,
looks
yeah.
like. It's an ugly hat. I would have been way meaner. I would have said, 'Take that thing off. It's ugly.'" And she got so pressed about it. And I'm like, "Girl, the
Yeah.
man just said it looks warm. That's what it's
Yeah.
supposed to do. Why are you so angry about this? Just
Ooh.
tell him then, well, but do you think it's pretty?" And because you just ask him, "What do you think about my hat?"
Mhm.
And she gets so
Mhm.
angry. And this happens multiple times, like when they're riding the hover bikes when they go to save Stella's father.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Something's wrong with this bike." And he's like, "Oh, really? I just checked it the other day." Very valid response. I would say the
Mhm.
same thing if I just
Mhm.
checked it. And she gets so mad at him. She has a whole rant about him to Flora. And I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
girl. At the end of the day, he knows more about hover bikes than you do. And it's not
Right.
like he didn't trust you. He was just like shocked, like, "Oh, really? I just checked this. So why are you so angry about this? You're so angry at him all the time for no reason." And then when he tries and gives her like the present saying, "I thought you might like this color," she's all attitude towards him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
it there's a lot to be said for therapy.
Yes. Yes.
I
They need
think
it.
yeah, like Musa needs to go to therapy. Like
Yes.
she's got, and like so does Riven. Like honestly, probably all these characters need therapy, really.
All of
Every
them.
all of them. But Musa's clearly working through things, and like she's not getting what she needs from Riven to help her work through said things, but like
Yes.
neither she's also not giving Riven what he needs either. And so like from the get-go, this relationship should have sunk. Like it should have not worked
It
at
really,
all.
yeah,
Like it because it doesn't.
100%.
Yeah, it's not supportive. It's not like it's just I think that like it was a very popular kind of like trope, especially in the early 2000s, of like this like really like teasing back and forth relationship, like, and like they give each other a hard time, sort of like people really
Mm-hmm.
love that dynamic, but it's just it doesn't feel
There
like it's
was
coming from the
just
right place in
right.
their
There was
relationship.
just no teasing on Riven's part, though.
Hmm.
He really
Yeah.
never showed interest in season one, and she was so angry about Darcy. And like, I get it, he was under a spell, of course, but I'm like,
Hmm.
what right do you have to be angry? Because as far as they know at that point, there is no spell. So this man has
Right.
every right to date Darcy,
Hmm.
and he never
Hmm.
showed any interest in Musa. He even showed more interest in Bloom, like in
Yeah.
season one. So
Yes.
I'm like, girl, what right do you have to,
Hmm.
claim this man as your own? I get that she's jealous, of course, and exactly like you say, she goes through some stuff and she needs to work through that. But at the end of the day, I think she was more in love with the idea of Riven than Riven himself.
Ooh, that is such a good word. Absolutely. Like,
Thank you.
no, totally. That's exactly what it is. Like, she I think that she already had her mind made up of how he
Yes,
was, you know,
yes,
and
exactly.
once they do get together and he's not that way, she's like, well, what the fuck? Like, what is this? You know,
I mean,
it's like,
yeah, I get it. I mean, look at that man in his little crop top. I would be. Listen, hello. I get it, girl,
yes.
but you need to be realistic. If this man
Hmm.
isn't what you expected, then it's time to say, okay, this will
Hmm.
not work.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's just the truth. I'm sorry.
To
Y'all
me,
can hate me.
they feel like the same ends of a magnet trying to be pushed together, like that
Yes.
friction there. And a
Yes,
lot of
that's
people,
really good.
you know, thank you. A lot of people might, you know, like if you push really hard, yeah, you can make connection like for a second, but they get pushed apart again, you know, and so it's like
Yes.
it feels it's a very forced relationship. It feels like just because everyone seems to think they should be together, they're like, okay, they just kind of follow suit. But I don't really feel like there's, yeah, like a ton of chemistry there. And as a person that loved this ship growing up,
It's
yeah.
just something you notice as an adult when you rewatch it. As a
Hmm.
kid, you're just like, ooh, the drama. But then as an adult, you're like, this relationship really isn't healthy. It just
Yeah.
isn't. And I feel for both of them because Musa deserves the love that she imagined for herself. But at the same
Mhm.
time, I also feel bad for Riven because he's
Yes.
constantly being held to this standard that he just cannot live up to because it's just not who he is. And that's
Yeah.
also fine. So
Yeah.
they either just need to go to therapy and work this out, or they need to go their separate
Or
ways.
yes, or break up. And I think that's the only thing that season 6 got right was them breaking up. But then, of
Yes.
course, in true rainbow fashion, they had to bring them back together in season 8. Like, for why? Like, they could have just been friends. He could
Yeah.
have been still part of the group because I love Riven as a character. I
Me
do. I think
too.
that
I love him.
I think that he's the most interesting specialist we have. But
He's the most relatable one, in my
yes.
opinion. Like, he has his
Yeah.
demons, he has his problems, but he
Mhm.
kept working through those. And I think that's so cool. I don't know. I
Yeah.
love Riven because everybody's always on his case from season one, but he really got
Mhm.
so much better.
He
He's just
did.
like this kind of grumpy guy, but
Yeah.
he's so funny. Like this guy's fucking funny.
He's like,
He
yeah, he reminds me of like Roy Kent from like Ted Lasso. Like he's like so like just yeah, he's just a little grumpy puss. Like that's all. Just a little grumpy
Yeah,
guy.
and that's totally fine to be that way. And if that's not
Yeah.
what Musa expected of him, then that's on Musa, not on him. I mean, he
Mhm.
never pretended to be anything else. So,
Yes, right. I think that he's
yeah,
the realest character out of all of
he
these people. He's
is.
not pretending to be other people. Uh, Sky. um
Exactly. My rage is coming up now, so.
I was about to say, speaking of Sky, yeah, Bloom and Sky. There are a lot of feelings around this relationship because it's, the main characters. Like it's Bloom is
Mm,
the main character for the first, like 3 seasons. So it's like this is her story and Sky is a huge
hmm
part of that. And he's absolute garbage.
Listen, this man is
I'm
white trash. I
I
hate him.
Oh, I'm sorry to say for all the Bloom Sky shippers out there, but like in my opinion, like he's just not it. He is
It's just
not.
not even an opinion anymore when you just put the facts next to each other. It's like, how is this a good boyfriend? There
Yes,
really
and
is no redeemable qualities.
there's not. And it's so hard to find any. Like it's funny because like I do get kind of like sentimental about the relationship, especially in like the early episodes of like them getting to know
Mm-hmm.
each other. It's kind of cute, you know. But as soon as he thinks that my girl Bloom is a witch, he's like, "Girl, bye.
Girl,
I'm sorry."
listen.
What?
He just ignores her, ghosts her for days, weeks, I think, even. Meanwhile, you've got Stella turning into a literal swamp monster, and Brandon still
Yes.
being like, baby girl, I got you,
Oh,
I love you. Like,
yes.
and the thing is, Bloom being like made by the ancestral witches or whatever doesn't
Mhm.
even change a thing. She's still the
Mm-mm.
same girl at the end of
Mhm.
the day.
Mhm.
And he still was like, I'm a head out. I can't. I
I
no.
I can't even begin, and not to mention all of the like strife that he brought upon Bloom
So
in
true.
season one.
So
It
true.
well, I mean, season after season, actually. Like this
Every
guy,
season.
every season, Sky is a problem. Like, hey, I don't know,
Every
maybe like
season.
get him out of there.
Every season they're fighting. Season 3 literally starts with Bloom saying, yes, Guy and me were fighting again. Oh, what a surprise. What a
What?
surprise.
Wow, we're all freaking shocked, Bloom.
I think they just brought out the worst in each other, but more so like Sky was just the main problem.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
Bloom is just listen, I think Sky is the kind of person who's just he has a big ego kind of like
He's
he's the main
very
character. He
self-absorbed.
yes,
Yeah.
he is the knight in shining armor, but
Blech.
Bloom is way stronger than him. Bloom is
Mhm.
like, the strongest being, I think,
Mhm.
almost in the whole Winx universe. And I think it's just like he can't handle that maybe.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that it's very funny to me, like you saying that, like, yeah, Sky has a big ego and thinks that he's the main character, but then when Bloom comes along and is the actual main character, like that's gotta like he's gotta feel some type of way about that because he,
Right.
like it knocks him down a peg. But like for him, I mean, just the atrocities that he that he committed against Bloom is just like inexcusable. Like him not only lying to her about his identity in
Right.
season one, but then also gaslighting her in front of the whole school. Or not the whole school, all of the
So
magics, really.
he is such a gaslighter. I
Hmm.
can't with
Hmm.
this man. As I
Hmm.
said, I was rewatching with my friend, and every time she was like, the gaslighting that is happening right now. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, girl, I know. This is
Uh-huh.
insane. He's always like, I didn't do anything wrong. And it's you did though. You did though. Like
Oh my gosh.
the
And
whole
not to mention,
Diaspro thing.
the Aspro and poor girl, she was just an
Poor
innocent
girl.
bystander in the first season, and really in the second season too. Like she's just like, I mean, she had her reasons in season three. I get that, but like, girl, why are you simping so hard for a guy that like literally doesn't even want you? Like, he
Right?
is
And it's
literal trash. You can do so much
he
better, the
is.
Aspro.
And it's also just the she's a royal, right? The
Mhm.
repercussions that this would have
Mhm.
had on her reputation, on her
Yes.
self-confidence. It's
Mhm.
insane because this man was literally cheating on her. He's the prince of Iraklion,
Oh.
and she is now the girl like
Mhm.
who was
Mhm.
dating, like he was her boyfriend because she
Mhm.
told this, like, and she called him honey when they were calling and stuff,
Mhm.
and he cheated on her with another
Yes.
girl who didn't even know
Mhm.
Diaspora existed. It's insane. And
Yeah.
he still has a
Yeah.
way to make himself the victim. He even had a picture of Diaspora in his room. How are you the victim in this? I
Mm.
can't with this man.
He is so delulu. It's
He
crazy. Like
is.
just living in his own
So,
world according to his own program. Like
so
just
true.
oh my God. It's absolutely insane. I can't, and how fast and prone he is to jealousy. Like in
Oh
season
God,
2 with Avalon. I'm sorry, that is her
it's
professor.
insane.
That's
Exactly,
gross.
and we can use like we can say it however we want. That man was grooming Bloom in some
Oh,
way or another.
absolutely.
100%.
How did
Bloom
this
was
get past the
100%
writer?
right. She was such a victim. And instead of being worried, like, hey, I think this professor is really being a little too close to Bloom. This is really not
Mm-hmm.
right. I sense something off.
Mm-hmm.
He just
He blames her.
climbed up into a tree, spied on her, and was like, "They're kissing. They're kissing. I can see it. I
Oh
knew I was right."
my
And I was like,
god.
"Boy,
Oh,
he's insane." And I
that's
love
such a
Brandon just being the supportive friend, being there, like, "Sky, I don't know, man."
yeah. Oh, in the oh my god, in the Red Fountain Cloud Tower Codex. No, not Red Fountain Cloud Tower. In
Oh,
the
I
in the,
was,
in the
yeah,
in the Red Fountain
yes,
Codex episode when Brandon is in the 4 Kids dub when Sky is like, Bloom's not answering her cell phone and we had a phone
yes,
date or whatever. And then Brandon goes, don't worry, she's probably just with some other guy.
so good.
It's so
It's
good.
just also an episode where he was so mean to her for no reason. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was being
Mm-hmm.
so nasty towards
Just
her. I was like, "God, calm down."
right. Like what is actually happening right now? And then how he gets jealous of a fucking horse? What?
Listen, I never
Literally
watched it,
what?
but I've heard stories.
It's it the amount of actually the amount of fragile egos amongst the specialists who get like literally like jealous of animals is so weird.
For real. Like the
It's really weird.
audacity of this man astonishes me every single day I am on this earth. Every day I ask myself, where did this man get the audacity?
Mhm.
With that
Mhm.
haircut? No. Bye, jail.
Jail's right to jail. The pairing is not matching up well for our girl Bloom like with
No.
Sky.
Mm,
And there's so many like canon relationships in this series, but so many of them, don't work. And it's
right.
it's really crazy, for me.
Yeah, if it's not worth it, I don't ship. Like with
Mhm.
Stella and Brandon, they're perfect.
Mhm.
I don't see any reason why I should ship Stella with anyone, why I
Yes.
should ship Brandon with anyone. But when I see a relationship that's just so horrible and I'm like this girl deserves actually better, then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, it's time to ship. I gotta
Yeah.
intervene for my own mental health, for my own
And
sake. I need to.
yes. And I think that like that's such a good point of like why ships are so popular and especially non-canon ships are so popular because, like the fans they gotta step in. They gotta say, actually, no.
Yes, and
And I
it's
think that's so
crazy because
accurate.
yes, because as a child I didn't notice the red flags. I was
Right.
like Sky and
Yeah.
Bloom, yeah, they're
Ooh,
cute.
yeah.
Then Valtor
Yeah.
came on screen and was like my 8-year-old heart was like, ooh, hello, sir. I was already intrigued, but as a child, you don't know what shipping means, so you just go with the
Hmm.
flow. But
Yeah.
then, when you rewatch as an adult, you're like, oh God, this is problematic. Sky
Hmm.
really is not okay. This man has some
Yeah.
serious issues,
Right.
especially with gaslighting. And I'm like,
Oh,
sir, please calm down. And the
absolutely.
worst part for me is the people blaming Bloom for this. And they're like, yeah, she shouldn't have
Mm.
attacked Yespro. And I'm like, no, that's a fact.
Uh,
But it's Bloom's character to be a hothead. Her
mhm.
magic is literally fire. It's
Mhm.
in her to be the hothead of the group and to be aggressive almost. And
Absolutely.
also, the tricks were literally out to get this girl the
Yes,
whole
they
season.
had her in a blender, like literally, like
Yes,
she did not know like up from down, left from right, like she is just like fighting for her life. This girl
she
is
is.
brand new to the magic dimension, has like, and now these
Yes.
witches are after her. She's gotta be somewhat paranoid. I would be
Yeah, I
like,
would be too.
she has
Because
every
it's
right to
insane.
be.
Especially when you hear someone call your boyfriend honey. Like,
Mhm,
excuse me?
mhm.
I would be asking questions. And I would also say the tricks are trying to get inside my head, trying to break my
Mhm.
relationship apart because that's the next thing on their agenda to break me, to get to me.
Yep.
And then people blame her for it. Like, it's all Sky's fault. And he never really apologized like Brandon did. Brandon really took the time to say to Stella, like, I'm sorry that
Yeah.
happened. And I understand if you don't want to be in a relationship with me anymore. Sky never said that. He
Mm-mm,
never did.
mm-mm. He apologized, but then immediately like walked back the apology because of like,
Right.
but this is the reason. Like, no, like just
Yeah.
like, are you sorry? It doesn't sound like you are. Like,
Exactly. Brandon owned up to it. Like, he was like, I
mhm,
made a mistake. I
mhm,
should have told you. And
mhm,
Sky's immediately like, but this is why I. No, you did it. You
mhm,
need to, like,
mm-mm,
own up to it,
mm.
dude.
Yeah, he's gross. Just
He's
bad
gross.
vibes. I hate it.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Happy we agree.
You're listening to the Winx Forever podcast. I want to talk about some popular non-canon ships in Winx Club. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them we've already mentioned, maybe like, the Flora Palladium ship, like that's one that's pretty popular because they're both like, they got some like, nice features that go together for sure. Like they're both like
Mm-hmm.
tall and like, Palladium's blonde and like they're both like, herbs and stuff. That's like that's fine. Whatever. Like the professor teacher thing is a little weird. Like maybe if it was like after Flora came back to Althea to be a professor as well, like maybe that's a little less weird.
I
Um,
mean,
you
she
know.
still, was a student at one point in time. It's a little,
Yes, it's
but
yeah,
I
it
get
could
it.
it yes,
I
but
get it.
I yes, I see it. Like I can
Yeah.
see I can remove my own bias enough to see that like how that would work, whatever. I love Myrta and Lucy, but even more than that, I love Flora and Myrta together.
Okay, I can see that. But again, as I
Yeah.
said, if I don't see a reason to ship, I mean, Helia and Flora are like the same people, different fonts. I don't
Yes.
see a reason to like ship Flora. But I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
can, I can understand why people would. It's just
Hmm.
like, for me, the aesthetics don't really match.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the goth girl, like cottagecore girl, like shipping. Like I think that
Oh,
that's like very cute, and like, but also like even if it's just platonic, like like romantic, like would work as well. Like even just like platonic ships, I think are perfectly fine to ship too because there are so many different platonic relationships in Winx Club that don't get fleshed out as well. Like I love like
mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of people say Flora and Riven as friends, that ship. And
Yes. Oh,
I
as
love
friends.
that.
I saw as like
Yeah.
relationship.
Ooh,
Me
okay. Yeah,
too, but
because
I
it's the
saw
soft girl and the
relationship
hard.
and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess, but it's just like they had one interaction, which was just Flora being like, "What are you doing here? Musa is
Yeah.
like there," and he's like,
Uh-huh.
Thanks, and he went
Uh,
away. So I'm
yeah.
like, okay. um,
Right. And
but
yeah.
yeah, I get the platonic really well because Mirtha and
Hmm.
Flora, their friendship could have been beautiful, and
Mm,
they really didn't
absolutely.
go anywhere with it.
Which is so sad. They had such a good like connection too, because like I mean, Flora like fought to save Myrta, like truly, and to kind of see
Mm-hmm.
that like not really go anywhere, it was really sad.
Yes. So true.
Yeah. Another popular one, Palladium and Avalon. That one
Yes, yes.
I feel like is a lot more hinted at in the series than we realize. But also like it was the imposter Palladium or it was the imposter
Right.
Avalon too. So it's like
It's it's
like
it's difficult. It's
mhm.
difficult because
Mhm.
aesthetically, again, they do go together, I guess.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, it's not even the real Avalon, so
Yes.
does it
So like
really work?
does it count? Yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing with Bloom and Avalon too, because like it was an imposter Avalon, so like that too doesn't really maybe that's a sunk ship as well, like that
Yes.
yeah, for sure. Hmm.
It's not something I ship right now, but as a child, I used to, when I didn't know what
Oh,
grooming
right.
meant, I was kind of
Totally.
into it. I was like,
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
this hot, sexy professor is showing interest, when my
Yeah.
underdeveloped brain didn't know any better. um,
Exactly.
and and I to this day I still like again I like the aesthetic of Bloom and Avalon. They would
Hmm.
look good together, but just when you think about it, it just
It's just, it doesn't work.
it's yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah. A lot of people ship a Farragonda and Saladin. I think that that's like too easy of a ship because like, oh, it's a male headmaster and a female headmistress. Like that like no, and
Hmm.
like just because they're both old and just because they're both like you know what I mean? Like just because they're both in the Company of Light together. You know who else was in the Company of Light? Griffin.
Oh, I see where you're
Fair
going with this.
Farragonda and Griffin. Listen, they are for sure ex-lovers. Like for sure. I think that that's pretty close to canon.
Listen, let me tell you, I never thought about that. Never in my life I've ever thought about Farragona and Griffin together, like ever. But now
it
that you say it, I'm like, why not?
it could work.
Why
It could
not?
work. And
It could
like
work.
in the Four Kids dub, they gave a little backstory about how they found out in college when they were both in college that they were dating the same specialist at Red Fountain, and
Oh,
he was
really?
he was two timing
The
them.
drama.
I it truly Four Kids got some good little gold moments in there. And so they turned him into like a frog or something.
Oh.
Yeah, like once they found out that he was cheating on them. And like like when you have that backstory, you're like, okay, but like what happened after? Like then what? Don't stop the
Then
story
what? Yeah.
there. Yeah. But like it's just very cute, and like in the Four Kids dub also because of like their shared history, like growing up together, like becoming the great
Mhm.
like sorceresses they are. Like it's um it's really funny to see in the Four Kids dub. Farragonda has a nickname for Griffin. She calls her Griffy. Like
Oh,
it's
really?
yes, it's so cute. And so like there is that playful like, whatever, even if it's just platonic whatever, but I think romantically I think that would be so cute. So, yeah.
That is really cute.
Do you have any other like non-canon like things that you've seen like popular
Um,
non-canon ships?
right. I see a lot of Stella and Bloom, but I
Interesting.
think it does a disservice to their friendship.
That's
It's
fair.
I can really relate to this because I have a best friend that's male, and
Hmm.
a lot of my family members can't wrap their head around that we're
Hmm.
just friends. And it's
Yeah.
till this day. We've been best friends for like 8 years or something, and till this
Yes.
day, these people cannot comprehend that a female and a male can be just friends and be
Yeah.
like really close. It's insane. And I have the same feeling with Stella and Bloom. They're just such good friends, and then when you
Hmm.
ship them, it just does them such a disservice because they're
Yeah.
such good besties. There's no need to ship them. There's
Yeah.
literally no need.
Um some other I've seen people ship like Musa and Aisha together, and I would apply the same thing that you had said, like that for me, like they worked so hard to become friends, like
Mm-hmm.
because Aisha was so standoffish because of like previous friendships she's had in the past, and like not wanting to lose friendships like that.
Right.
And so she really, like, they worked so hard for that relationship. Like why ruin it with romance? Like I completely agree.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do maybe see Musa and Aisha a little bit more because
Hmm.
Naboo is gone and
Yeah.
Griffin and Musa don't work. So I guess in that case they're both single and it could, I
Hmm.
guess, work a little bit better. But again,
Yeah.
it's the same. They're good friends. Their friendship is beautiful the way it is, and there
Hmm.
doesn't need to be any romance at all between
Absolutely.
that.
There's also a lot of villain and hero ships in the Winx Club fandom, and we'll get to an obvious one in a little bit. We've already talked about Bloom and the anti-Avalon. Also Flora and Anagon.
Yes,
Anagon? Yeah, like
I don't know his name. I remember Flora and the Black Circle guy.
yeah, yeah, and he like that was a little more apparent because like he did flirt a lot with Flora in the season 4. Um so I get it from that perspective, like it was just an easy ship to make in that moment. But one that I don't agree with and don't like is like the Roxy and Ogron like ship. Like she's
Nah,
literally a child. Like she's
she's
like literally
literally, yeah, she is a little baby,
she's a little baby
teenager.
child. Ugh.
You can. It's Roxy. She even acts like a child. I mean, the way she acted when she found
Yes.
out she was a fairy, I was like, be grateful for this opportunity in your life. I
I
wish I could be this person
that's
right now, and you're ruining it.
funny. I think Roxy had one of the more like realistic like responses to figuring out that she was like, like that chosen one trope, of like, oh, like now you go off and like save the world. It's like she's like, I don't want any part of that,
I
actually.
guess. But she saw them transform, and she was still like, nah,
Right. Yeah,
nah.
yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
like,
fair.
girl. And she only started believing when her life was in danger. Like, girl, be for
Yes.
real.
A very popular one and one that I absolutely ship. It's a Bloom ship.
Icy.
I love Blycey so much. Like Bloom and Icy, like there's again, I'm so terrible with like remembering usernames, but there is a artist that creates Bloom and Icy comics, like just little comic strips, like nothing like serialized, but just little
Mm-hmm.
comics of them like just flirting and stuff, and it's just very cute and I love it.
It's, I get it, but to me, I don't
Yeah.
know why. Because don't anyone please don't take this the wrong way, but I don't have any like gay ships in like Winx Club actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
None at all. And that's weird because I'm like a huge BL fan, so I tend to do that. But in Winx Club, I really have none, and I can't imagine any of the characters. Maybe I guess Musa.
Yeah.
I would ship her with a girl, or at least as being like bisexual or something. But
Hmm.
for Bloom, in my head, she's like straight. She's
Yeah,
100%
just like
straight.
yeah.
Yeah, and I see the same because she is falling in love with every man that looks at her. So I'm just like,
Ooh, woof. That's fair. I think that Icy is attracted to power, and I think that that's why she
mm,
would make sense with Bloom because Bloom is very powerful. Um,
I get
and
that.
and that's probably maybe the only way it would work for me. But yeah, I just like the fire and ice combo and like I do understand the enemies to lover, attraction, like being attracted to a ship of that caliber, but yeah, for me, the enemies to lover ship for Bloom is Icy and Bloom. For me personally, but I know there are
Mhm.
others. I know there are others. Most importantly, of course, the Bloom and Valtor ship, which of course is your OTP.
It is. I will die on this hill. They're perfect for each other.
Well, let's talk about it a little because I've read, the comics as you're like producing them, and I've gotten the privilege
Hmm.
to be one of the first readers. And honestly, as a person that doesn't ship Bloom and Valtor, you and the way that you are presenting the relationship in your writing and in your art, it is very convincing. And
That I
it
have
it
succeeded. Slowly converting everyone.
I think what helps me the most, because there is the argument of oh well, Bloom's literally a teenager and Valtor is like this 100-year-old like monster guy, and it's like I understand that like for sure, but like technically Bloom is 18 technically, and but also technically if you think about it, if you want to apply like the fan theory that Bloom is actually older than a teenager, like she's also like this ancient being from an ancient time, like I think that that works as well, because I mean, we don't there's I it's not canon, but it is very widely theorized that the portal that Daphne sent Bloom to Earth in was also a time portal. So not only was it a, location portal, she also like jumped time to like send her forward
Oh,
into the future. Yeah, there's a book that
oh,
has,
I
yeah,
see.
that literally like mentioned that like she transported her through time, and so it's not canon but is widely theorized. So I think that that also could make this work,
Mm-hmm.
because if Bloom and Valtor are technically the same age or maybe a few years apart, just by that, because Valtor was created with the dragon flame.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, but I would love to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Well, on the age thing, actually, there's something I also quickly want to clear up.
Mhm.
I even think Bloom is actually 19 in season three,
Mm,
so she starts out as being 18, but I think by the end of it, she's really 19, because in
yeah.
season one, she has this conversation with her dad, and she says something like, "I'm already 16, Dad," that
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. But Bloom's birthday is like in November,
It's in
so
December,
the
but yeah, yeah,
yeah, December or November. I always mix those up. But
yeah.
anyways, by the time, she's already 16 before she goes to Althea. So by the
Mhm.
time she's there, I mean, I think there's like a timeline on Tumblr, which I used for
Mm.
planning out my comic.
Nice.
And she wrote everything out, how it made sense to her. It's not canon, I think. It's just the way that she saw it, like how she thought it would make sense. And
Mm.
according to that, Althea would start in like June, July, the school year. So Bloom would
Yeah.
have already been 16, and in her first year, she would already become 17. So by the
That's
time,
fair.
yeah, so by the time we're in season three, she's actually already 19. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and that made total sense to me. I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's fair. Um,
Mhm.
but I also feel like, even if that was not the case, I mean, you can clearly see Bloom's evolution through the seasons, how she was a little child in season one.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have the responsibility of saving the magical dimension at 16, you learn to grow up pretty quickly, I think. um, and so by the time it's season three, I mean, she's basically an adult in my eyes. She doesn't have any of those teenager characteristics at all anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's she is an adult. She has, and on that same note, is also she has her enchantix. She is the guardian of her realm, and I
Mhm.
think that's also something that might be for fairies like a coming of age kind of thing. You get your
Mm.
enchantix. You are now a fully fledged fairy, or an
Mhm.
adult, ready to
Yeah.
save your or like protect your
Your
planet.
realm. Yeah, that's so true. That's very fair. And I think too what and I don't want to give any spoilers really, like for your comic obviously, but something for me in your comic that I've really been drawn to, or like that just makes sense to me in how you present it, is like why wouldn't Bloom and Valtor have this chemistry? They have like their power source is derived from the same
Exactly.
thing, so they have like not only like this like connection romantically, but it's also just like at a like molecular level like that they're
Right.
connected. So in a
Right.
way, like that just like I don't know, it makes it like even spicier. Like wow,
It does, right?
you know?
It does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a huge thing because in the actual Winx in canon, there is talk about their connection. It's not as fleshed
Mhm.
out as I am making it in my comic, of course.
Right.
But there is mention of it, and there should be, because they have the same powers. There should be like a connection, like they
Mm.
feel, he says, like it's like I've known her all my life, that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
He says that in, I
Ooh.
think, the episode before Heracleon happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I have this feeling that I know her, and it's like this deep connection that goes even beyond normal, physical attraction between them. And I think that's just something so good between their relationship. It can really like be fleshed out and be something so
Yeah.
amazing. And that's definitely what I have planned for it in my comic, so definitely give it a read.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that you're still definitely in the making of it, but you guys definitely check out Faye's Instagram. I'll link all of her socials in the description of this episode so that you can connect with her and follow all of her art and everything that she is doing over there. But I am really, really excited for your comic and to kind of see, like see where it goes and see, if I am truly a, a Blue Tor convert. So.
Listen, that's like my true goal is to make non-believers into believers. It's a goal of mine, just I will say if it's not your cup of tea, that's totally fine. I get it.
Yeah.
If I don't ship anything, I will also personally not read anything about it.
Hmm.
But if it's like something like a friend of mine does or something, I will give it a
Yeah.
shot. And I
Hmm.
will say, like, just give it a shot. Just read the first couple of chapters, And if you
Hmm.
don't like it, it's totally fine. You don't have to continue reading it. I
Yeah.
don't mind at all. I get it. But you might be surprised that
Mhm.
it does make sense, and
Yeah.
know that I'm not being a pedophile, as many people call me, because
Yeah, no, no, no.
and
There's just no room for that. Like and I
really,
think that once your comic comes out, like people will see the thought and care and attention to detail that you put into it because it's not just like like someone just willy-nilly shipping like Roxy and Ogron, like
yeah,
it
right.
is well thought out and well done in my opinion. And so I'm really excited for people to get to experience it. Thank you for being on the show today. This has been just so much fun. Do you have any last words? Like, let our listeners know where they can find you and your art and your soon to be comic online.
Yeah, so you can always find me on Instagram. I'm most active on there, but right now I'm a little bit inactive because I've been working on the comic like day and
Mm-hmm.
night. It's really a lot of work, so I'm not posting much right now, but I hope when I officially post my comic and announce it, they'll be a little more active. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also on Twitter, same name. I'm not as active on there though, because I always forget I have Twitter, so don't expect too much from me.
That's
And
fair.
regarding my comic, yeah, it will be probably published on Webtoon, so you'll
Mm-hmm.
be able to read it there for free. And
Yay.
maybe in the future, I'll be opening a Patreon and maybe do some
Yeah.
exclusive art on there for my comic and do some
Yeah.
early access and stuff. For now, I'm still figuring everything out and deciding when I'm exactly going to release my comic publicly for everyone to read because I personally don't
Awesome.
like waiting for chapters to come out.
That's
So,
fair.
but at one point, I'll have to. So I'm sorry if you have to wait a long time for each chapter, but I'm doing my best. So
Yeah.
there are like 7 episodes, and I want to at least get to like 10 or something before I publicly
Start
post
publishing.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Faye,
Hmm.
thank you so much for being on the show today. I've so enjoyed our conversation. So much.
Oh,
So
me
thank you.
too.
Well, awesome. Well, be sure to be on the lookout for Embers to Inferno coming soon. So thanks again, Faye.
Thank you so much, Lola. It was so much fun.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow on your preferred streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes drop. The theme for the Winx Forever podcast is the song She Makes Magic by Big Wild.